Podcast, presentado por 5.11.
Nuevamente nos encontramos desde CIPE en PS360 con un gran invitado que nos honra con su presencia y él es Mike Musengo.
Yes.
Welcome to Mexico, welcome to CIPE, and we are very honored to have you here in Mexico.
It's been an entire honor for me to be here. First time.
First time?
Great. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
I've read about your work. You have formed people for SWAT,
Yes.
DEA,
I worked the task force.
task force,
Task
okay.
force, different, yeah.
and director from an academy.
Yes. Syracuse, New York, upstate New York. Yeah.
But I mean, this is a huge labor what you have done
Yeah.
in a very tough work. So that's why we are very honored to have you here, and I'm very grateful for let us know more about your labor and sharing here in CIPE.
Okay.
How was your experience sharing, teaching? How did you see the spectators to react to your opponents?
It was very positive. Coming into something like this, I'm always trying to understand, as an instructor, I consider a professional instructor. It's a profession within a profession. What do they need? What are they looking for? And can I provide that information to them? So getting that information from Joseph Etherly and Emilio, what they're looking for specific to their work, and what we have as far as force science research, and then where I've been putting my labor and energy in over the last 10, 15 years in trying to build instructors that is backed by science. So empirically supported methods to learning more efficiently and optimally.
How does your force science certification influence your understanding of the use of force in protection operations?
So what force science has done is given me a research foundation
Okay.
for understanding human performance.
Okay.
Okay. So we say human performance factors. To kind of break that down a little bit, it's more of a realistic understanding of human capabilities in what I can actually see or perceive. How fast can I react to something, right? My body actually, on my best day, how quickly can I respond to some type of threat? Things like the memory, attention. It's a big block. It's one of my favorite things to teach, so I have a great interest in it. How important and how critically important is it about understanding where my attention is during the course or timeline of an incident, and how important that is to my performance, as well as memory and expectation about how accurate I will be if I have to give a statement, an interview, something like that, about the details of what occurred, especially in a critical incident. Also understanding what a sympathetic nervous system activation, so when we have an emotional arousal, heartbeat's going fast as a byproduct of that, right? And what changes, right? What changes as far as my ability to see, process information, and then respond to that information. Is it different? When it comes to memory, we know there's a difference. A different part of our brain is engaged, and it takes in information and processes or encodes it differently than when we're not having a stress response. So that's kind of like the force science, and a lot of the research behind it is, if I can have a better understanding of the human performance factors, or even to say the limitations, then when I'm training people, I have a better understanding of the reality of this, so we can take that as a training framework and go from there and build upon that. So it's more realistic to the context that we're dealing with, and it's more realistic about my own understanding of my ability levels as a human being.
And in your experience, being in or out this way of thinking could be could change the result between being safe or not.
It's a slow growth like anything
Okay,
else. So when
exactly.
you start understanding, and then how can I build that in? For me, it's building that into training. Where I am now, I'm not training students, I'm training trainers.
Exactly.
So try to get that away so they can have this understanding and build that into, so there is better performance out there. Especially when we're talking about when you're in a career or a job, and maybe the amount of training time that you get outside of your work is rather limited, right? It's unlike a professional athlete.
Okay.
All of their focus, all of their time is in getting better at this one craft. And for most people that work in, whether it's EP work, law enforcement, any type of structure, there's going to be training time, right? There's a curriculum, and in order to get really good at all of these things, it would take a lot of time. So we're trying to do that within these time frames that we're dealing with, right? Yeah, so, excuse me. Yeah, I've got it too. I do my best. Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah, it comes and goes.
How did your experience in undercover DEA operations contribute to your skills in anticipation and reaction?
Well, I think that when I was working undercover, my takeaway from all of that is to learning how to read situations better. There was no real training for it. I mean, we had little courses that you took, but they were very abbreviated. It was mostly on-the-job experience.
Exactly.
So you really had to pay attention to things and then do your own kind of after-action review after about what occurred, what did I miss, how could I, if I could do this again, what would I have done different or better? So reading people, reading reactions, threat cues, things like that became very critical in that type of work, as you can tell. And most were successful. And I've also been in operations where I was assaulted pretty bad. And when I went back to think about it, I remember all these little things, all these little breadcrumbs, if you will, that were leading up to this that I wasn't paying attention to. They were there. I know I noticed them, but because of my ego at the time or whatever it was, I wanted to meet my objective. I pushed them to the side, and then the result was not good. So
I look to the perspective.
Yeah, so it had my takeaway from that had nothing to do with drugs themselves. That was just, that was the arena we were in. It was about human interaction and being able to read situations. So what I talk about in a lot of my lectures, and one of my big three takeaways, and the big one is schema or game intelligence. So what do we learn from this by playing the game over and over again? Am I paying attention to how the game is played? And am I going back and, thinking about that, what occurred in a positive way so I can learn and grow from it? And that's a different kind of mindset, I think, that's better for learning and a continued growth pattern.
And how do you think that the experience undercover in DEA could help you working in protection?
Observation.
Okay.
So I think observation and attention, again, it goes back to game intelligence. So you have to have a technical understanding of the work that you're doing. And as you're building that, now the things that you may not have seen before because you didn't have the experiential knowledge, you can see them clearer, where average citizens would not see them. So it's these little pieces that are lining up that are there that you can start to put together intuitively because you've become more experienced at that. So I think it works that way for any great athletes in any sport. It comes down to, again, game intelligence. So I think that crossover between that type of work is that power of attention, that top-down attentional control, and the power of observation when you have that time to be able to pick out the things that are important to your work in your context, right? So that I think is the main thing.
Thanks a lot. What are the critical components of effective SWAT training that translate well into executive protection?
SWAT training has a lot to do with tactics and techniques and procedures and different types of platforms and styles of entry and all of that. I think that most places start off with that model of just learning how to shoot and move and communicate, all those things, and work with team members. I'm not saying they're not important. They're very, I spent most of my life training those things. They are important. Again, being able to read things better, it does come back to that. And with executive protection, kind of understanding what the goal is, making sure that you're planning your operations. Well, we spend a lot of time, much more time in the planning stage than the execution stage. And the better we plan for, usually the execution part is that's the easy part. It's the fun part.
Okay.
Right? It's the fun part. The not fun part is actually gathering all of the information and coming up with an operational order of a plan with contingencies set in place. So when this fails, what do? We don't want to problem solve that in the moment. We want to plan for as much as we can so we have the scripted things that we go. So that all being said, I still believe through all my years with the SWAT training and everything else, the ability to be able to read a situation and be adaptive, be able to adapt is the best quality that I've seen in my best SWAT operators. So their adaptability when something is completely unexpected.
Okay.
It wasn't on any operational order or any, but there was a change and now you have to deal with it. So people that are very strict into learning techniques and tactics and procedures, when something novel or new comes in, they can get stuck and they go internal because they've got to a complexity and they don't have a pre-programmed response for it. And it can cause, just a little time delay can snowball into a very bad outcome. Being able to read situations that you don't expect. So building your training around that adaptability, I think, is the best thing you can do, is around being able to get new information. Things are changing. Maybe even a layout wasn't expected, but you still are able to go through it and figure it out as you're going in good time, in real time. So you're reading and you're adapting to the changing environment or the changing context. So again, to me, adaptability is king when it comes to any of the tactical movements or anything that we're doing, executive protection. We've got plans for the things that we can predict, but the unpredictable, we need adaptability. Yeah, that's a superpower.
Yeah, superpower, exactly.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to protection professionals working in Mexico regarding tactical training and decision making?
This would go for anyone in anything. It's I think that it's really important to be able to be vulnerable enough and humble enough to look at every operation, everything that you're doing, and go back and give yourself honest feedback and even better feedback from others that you're working with. Honest, accountable feedback from each other, because nobody likes to admit they made the mistake. Oh, it happened because of this or because of that. That's an excuse. Maybe it's a reason, but there's something to learn there. Whether you learn from it or not is up to you. It's all, and I've seen that in the SWAT community where I don't make the mistakes, no, even on your best operation, there are things that we could have done different, but there's no perfect run.
Or to get better, right?
Yeah, to get better, and it's all to get better. So I would say in that EP world is no different in that you must have the ability to have this honest after action review with a growth mindset. We bring these up because we want to learn and grow from everything that we do. That's from your real operations. When you're on the training side of the house, the things that you need to be able to do critically well. So the physical components, the kinesthetic, the tools, weapons platforms, things like that. I do want to train those at the level of what we call automaticity, which most people call like muscle memory. And I want to be able to move around my tools and tactics and techniques, whether it's just, hand-to-hand stuff. The more I can do that without thinking about what I'm doing, so it's kind of automatic like driving, the more attentional resources, your executive function, right, cognitive load, is available for you to put into the changing environment, which is better for adaptability. So when you're not doing that, train as much as you can, and how you're doing your training or setting up your training. If there's one thing that I could say to, in any sport, and it's got no limits to it, whatever it is that you want to call the game. So whether it's a SWAT thing, a tactical executive protection, if you're training without a contextual relevance into it, you're doing yourself a disservice. So I cover a lot of different methods of instruction in our courses that we do, and I've used most of them when I was redesigning curriculum for the academies. If you told me and restricted me and you made a constraint and said you could only use one, I would say adding contextual relevance to as much as you can, early as you can. So, and by that, it's more scenario-based type training, high fidelity type training. But then the next deeper question is, how are you actually running that training? Because there's a huge variability in what people call scenario-based training. It can be not good, it can be bad, it can be okay. And then there's other levels of how you can conduct it where you can get massive learning in a small amount of time. And that needs to be done on purpose, by design, by trainers that know how
For
to do that.
every purpose, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's it was like myself and Jeff Johnsgaard, you probably talked to him. Your instructors, when we're dealing with this, we are masters of the stimuli. All the stimuli you're going to perceive, we directed that, and all we are is masters of creating problems. So I'm going to create problems for you, and you're going to work on solving them, and we're going to have discussions about how you perceived information, what it meant to you, and how you went about solving that problem, or even if you noticed that to be a problem, like that. So I create problems for you to figure out. So it's not that you might be able to recreate something you're going to experience out there in a scenario. That's great. But we know in our world, you can't build a scenario around everything you're going to see.
Exactly.
So I want to create great problem solvers and decision makers. And to do that, I need to train someone to have emotional regulation skills and to be able to have control over where they're driving their attention. And those are two main facets of that.
Thanks a lot. Could you give for civilians 3 tips about to keep them safe? What would they have to do every day just for walk safe?
So, yeah, I could do that. I wanted to think about something, and the little guy in my head's like, what do you tell your 4 daughters, right?
Exactly.
So it's the same because they don't have my skill set, but with things, but it's, I would say the 3 things, and the first one is going to be pretty obvious, and that's situational awareness.
Okay.
Right? And that's a big umbrella, right? What does that mean? It means when we're in public in places like this, it's less of this on the phone and more of this and looking around. And as you're doing that, many people that are out there that we might call a predator or something are looking for soft or easy targets, right?
Exactly.
The shark would rather get the fish that's already injured than go after the fastest, toughest one, right? The sharks don't want to
Don't look like food.
They don't want to go after another shark, right? So you don't have to be the strongest, toughest, most
Aggressive.
able person, but you need to be a little more prickly than the other people around you, right? That old adage about you don't have to be faster than the bear, you need to be faster than the person next to you.
Exactly.
So, but when you're not looking like an easy victim, how do you do that? And that is heads up and looking at people that you see someone, you're like, and you can give them a gaze for a couple of seconds for like, I see you see me. We got, that type of thing. So it's situational awareness with heads up, knowing, looking for, and the thing is, well, this brings me into number 2. Well, how do you know that what you're looking at is something that might be dangerous to you? This is the beauty of it. It's already built in your brain. It's there. It's there. It's in the amygdala, right? So number 2, and with this, I'll give a reference out that I would recommend people to read, and it's a book that's been around for a while. It's called The Gift of Fear.
Okay.
Gavin DeBecker, and I love how he approaches that and explains what that is. And he talks about our intuition, and all animals have it, right? Humans are the only ones that I know of that intentionally suppress it because we don't want to embarrass ourselves, make someone else feel uncomfortable. We want to be social beings and we want to act proper. When it comes to your safety, when you're looking and observing and you see something and your amygdala fires off a little flare and it's telling the rest of the brain, I don't like this, I don't like that, or if it's a person, whatever. If you want to go back and reflect why you felt that way, then you can do that after. That's a tomorrow problem. But right now, something in your brain picked up on something. As Gavin DeBecker describes that, it's picking up on something. And sometimes it's hard to describe in detail what it was, okay? But that amygdala is picking up on something, and it has your best interest at heart. He says those 2 things. And by best interest at heart, what he means by that is it's the part of the brain, the amygdala, is picking up on its job is to keep itself alive. In order to do so, it has to keep its host alive. which is you. So it sends the signal to the rest of the brain and the body and the executive functions, I don't like this. And then it's up to the host to decide whether we're going to avoid it or confront it or just ignore it, which we do most of the time, right? We just kind of, just ignore it and take the risk, take the chance. And so what I would say kind of wrap up the big number 2 is when you're looking around, if you get the feeling like something isn't right or someone gives you that feeling, I beg you, listen to it. And it doesn't mean that you draw a gun out and be aggressive or anything, but you listen to it. And then you can change your direction, the pattern, make distance, because that's the moment, that is a wonderful gift that we have that gives us time to make a change in the environment so we don't have that conflict, right? So listen to your intuition. We all have it. You're born with it. All animals do, and the animals don't care. When I'm walking my dog down the street, if it looks at somebody and doesn't like him, what does he do? He barks. Yeah. Does he care how they feel about barking? No, it doesn't bother him at all, okay? But for us, just to look at somebody and cross the street, they saw me do that. And they did that because I'm XYZ. You can go back tomorrow and reflect on XYZ because we get it wrong. We do. And we don't like that because then maybe I have a bias, right? Here's the thing about bias. We all have it. You can't get rid of it, but you can recreate and fine tune your biases, which a bias is just, I see a piece of information and it means something to me. That's all it is, like a heuristic, right? And try to always go back and clean that up and refine that based on our experiences. But don't put yourself at unnecessary risk by ignoring something that inside you're feeling, and your gut, as we say, is telling you, don't get on that elevator. That door opens up and there's something person that's in there, and for whatever reason, you have a feeling, and that amygdala is telling you, don't get in this box with this person, whatever it is. But what do we tend to do? We ignore it and we get on there because we don't. And what the amygdala wants us to do is watch that door just close and take the next car.
Most of the times is because we don't want to make feel the other person bad, right?
Right, yeah.
And that's an advantage that aggressors take.
Right. That's the spot. They're counting on that.
Yeah.
And they'll be feign to look, like, oh, I'm harmless. And
but
many times the amygdala will still pick up on something's there. And if you feel that thing, like I would say for civilians, please, I beg you, if anything, situationally aware, and when something fires in the brain that doesn't like it, listen to it. It doesn't mean you're rude, you don't have to be rude, but just you can refine ways on how to listen to that and redirect yourself into a safer place or safer thing. So that's number 2. And then number 3 is an easy one. Staying alive is important, right? I will ask people, what is your biggest fear? What is your biggest fear in life? Something that if it happened, it would crush you. And like for me, it'd be something happens to my family, right? So somebody while I was sleeping broke into my house and did something and to hurt one of my daughters or something like that. The next question is, okay, so that's your greatest fear in life. What have you done in your life to prepare for your greatest fear?
Okay.
And people that don't engage in any type of physical training or depending on what's legal as far as the weapon, things like that, what have you done? Because we all have smoke alarms, smoke detectors, carbon monoxide. For the fear of fire, we have all these things in place as a layer of security. And to me, these are all just security comes in layers. Situational awareness, listen to my intuition, and if I can't avoid it, I've built my skill set to a point where I'm confident and competent that I can handle the situation, but again, there's varying degrees with that. So there's a caveat to this. Spend the time building skills that if you get into some type of physical confrontation, whether it's saving yourself or saving one of your family members, that you're always working on becoming more competent. But the caveat to that, and I believe is one of the most important things, is have a realistic understanding of your competencies in these things. Because many people walk around with cognitive dissonance, right? I'll just see red and I'll go crazy and I'll be able to handle myself because someone's gonna try to hurt my kid. I believe you will see red. I believe you will try your best. But if you're not skilled and you're not trained, you might survive, you might get lucky. I don't want to depend on luck to save my family. So in the meantime, my lifestyle is run in such a way that I would prioritize physical fitness, physical conditioning, combatives, all those things that I'm going to need someday, maybe not. And if I never need them, it's great for you anyway, right? It keeps you healthy and strong. And it's great for your mind, it's great for your body. So yeah, those are the three things. Situational awareness, let your amygdala will guide your way, but listen to it. And the third one is have a realistic understanding of your capability levels if you get into some type of conflict, because it may change your direction on what you need to do. If you grab your kid and just run in the other direction doesn't mean you're a coward. Avoiding a conflict situation doesn't make you a coward, right? If you're a protector, an EP, and like for us and what we do, we have a duty to go into that situation. So for us, it's a must.
Okay.
And if you don't train and you're in that position, you shouldn't be. I use this exercise with my law enforcement officers over the years. When we were ready to go out and do training on like active shooter, and I said, I want to do an exercise with the class, and I'm going to take you to a dark place, and I'll apologize ahead of time, okay? Because you're going to get mad at me, many of you. Imagine while you're sitting here in this classroom, okay? Someone's going into your house right now to do harm to your family, okay? Think of all of the members that you know in this police, there's 500 people on the police department, all the people that you know and all their capability levels. You get to pick the 3 people that are gonna go in and save your family. Think, and I give them a few moments. I want you to think about who they might be. Don't say anything out loud. There's no names coming out here. Now I'm gonna ask you another question, and there's no answers to it. They're yours. Did you make your own top 3? And if not, why? And then I just let that sit in the room for a minute. What we're gonna do today is get you better at those things.
Exactly.
So you give me the gift of your time, and I'm gonna give you the gift of everything I can do for you to make you better today. We good to go? Okay, let's go. And then let's go work, right? So that's something that kind of give people a little bit of that honest truth, because most people in the room will pick the 3 SWAT people or something, or the defensive tactics, jiu-jitsu fighter, this. And am I on the list? No, well, it's your family. Why? You can build your life that way.
Exactly.
So be that person, be that hero of your family and yourself. You can do that. That's what we're here for, especially as a protector of your family. Yeah.
And that exercise could be shocking.
Yeah.
For most of us.
Yeah.
So for being prepared and increase our opportunities for being safe and keep alive. Right?
Yeah. So. Yeah, as protectors, we have a responsibility.
Exactly.
So that's if you want to call it a sacrifice, whatever it is, if it's the lifestyle that you enjoy, then you're probably in the right place. But if it's seen as a sacrifice to stay fit and stay in combatives, then you're going to struggle in the profession. So make it something you enjoy doing, because again, having that in my lifestyle, the benefits from that, the mental benefits, the confidence, and knowing that no matter how good I get, somebody out there is still bigger and badder and can take, we know that, right? But I know that I'm putting my time into being crafted in this. So if that day comes, I do have skills, I do have things that I'm not on my best day, on my worst day, I'll still be trouble for someone. I'm not gonna be an easy thing to get through, right? And that should be a goal. So yeah, those are big 3. And again, and same thing with EP work, or when you're put in a job where it's your job to be the protector of other people, it's mandatory, hands down. Full stop, it's mandatory. It's a commitment. Yeah.
Michael, it has been a pleasure to have you in your speak, have you here, and all the knowledge that you are sharing with us.
It's been a pleasure to share with you guys. I wish we had more time. We've got so much more. Right?
But we have the next CIPE in 2026. We hope you could be with us. And with more time, maybe we could share sometimes, I don't know, in a tour for Mexico. If it was for me you liked.
Yes. Next time down, for sure. I'd love to see more. I'm trying to get cultured. I didn't travel anywhere for 30 years, and now I see seeing the States. But Mexico, my first time here, so I love to take it in. You only live once, right? I want to be able to tell my kids a story about Mexico. What did you see? The hotel.
Exactly.
Right? More than that.
So
we had a great meal in a great restaurant last night, and love to see more of the culture in the community. Yeah.
we hope we could have the opportunity later, or in CIPE 2026 I will talk to Josaphat to take you to look around.
See a few things. A ride along.
A ride along.
Yeah.
It has been a pleasure.
Oh,
thank you very much.
so much. Thank you so much. All right, great. And don't forget, so PS 360 protection, and make sure tune in, get the information there. Hope to see you again.